most of my smooth, but we.
Hello, Alex. Meet the cat.
Yeah, own the Black Ops and Rocket League. Oh, completely destroyed.
Man, tomorrow's gonna be awesome, Alex.
Why?
You have our field trip.
Yeah. For what?
Food.
Food. Oh. Are you?
I don't think I take food.
Is that a band or is that after?
Rocket League?
No, not Rocket League.
What are you talking about?
It's that one that,
Flight Simulator?
I don't know what it's called.
Or Honor?
No, it's not.
Wait, what do you
It's
think
called-
of?
It's the recent version they did last night.
Oh, cricket.
Is that like a beta or is that?
No, that's an online.
Oh, did you get your Spanish done?
The picture?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now they're picking to go to Applebee's tomorrow.
Yeah, you wanna come cool?
He's on food.
You're not food?
If you don't have that done, it's that.
But the only thing that
I don't know what to do on it.
the only thing that kind of stinks about making those spirits is that
What
we'll
do I
have to
do
make
on
it
it?
work.
Where is
Which is whatever.
it? My mind says, that's wrong. Don't look right.
I think these are just like screwing eyes and coloring them and or drawing squares, triangles.
Apparently, we're going to learn how to solve equations.
You know what's really dumb? If you don't have the picture thing done, you get a detention for not drawing. It's kinda dumb. That's the one thing that we should do. But you know, I got mine done, so
I think I might have it. Yeah, I got it drawn. Not good.
Let me see.
Nothing.
You need to like...
It's something, at least.
Okay. Alright, today, we do have homework today. It's based on sequences, so let me get rid of the stuff on the board. We're going to do a quick example of what I expect out of your sequences today, what I expect out of your homework, and then I'm going to turn you loose on it. So, if we need to do another one, I'll do another one, but I want to make sure that you understand how this is going to work. So I'm just going to make up a problem as we go. Alright.
How many questions are
Alright. So again, we're on section 2.4, which is sequences. And what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about the arithmetic versus the normal sequence. So this is going to be kind of a work day for you. So I'm going to hand out your homework right away after we're done with these two examples. So we have arithmetic sequence. Spelled right, be good. Arithmetic sequence and a typical sequence. Now the goal here today is basically to find the terms. So find the items that are missing, right? So let me put these two words. So again, our goal is to find terms. That's the idea. So terms are the numbers that are in the list. So like on the worksheet, it'll ask you to find a missing one and then find a couple extras at the very end. Or the best way to do it is use the common difference, that gap between numbers. That's what we talked about last week. I think I introed this topic, I think last Wednesday. Kind of worked on it throughout the week until Friday where we didn't have you. So, but these are the two things that we have to do. They're the exact same words for the typical sequence. You have to find a term that's missing and find the next couple. And again, your goal is to use that common difference to help you out. Some of them are going to be easy, some will not be. So you're going to have to try to figure them out as you go. So we'll start with just a basic example here. So can somebody give me a number to begin with, please?
2?
2. All right. So let's say we do. Hold on, I'll have to write that down. I already messed up. Hold on. Yeah, that'll work.
So you said the find number?
All right, so here's the goal. The goal is to figure out the missing blank, the term that's missing, so that would be the third term in this case. So they want you to find the third term, right? And find the next two terms. So what that means is you got to find the missing blank, this number, and then you have to find the two numbers that go here and here. Okay? That's the idea. Does that make sense, like what you're doing? Okay, so let's talk about it. Let's go through a problem like this. So the first thing I would do when I attempt these problems, I would definitely look at the common difference, the gap between numbers. Now the problem is, I know we're missing one in the middle. That ruins everything. I understand that. But we'll figure it out as we go, and I think you might see a pattern. So, okay, so the first one. What is the gap from 2 to 4? They added 2, right? And I always put plus or minus because that's what I'm looking at. So they plus 2. Now, going from 4 to this blank, that's the unknown. That's what we need to figure out. We need to figure out what number this is. Then from there, we go up. So that's an unknown. But from 14 to 22, what is that? 8. Okay. And then from 22 to 32. Okay, so it looks like we're increasing, right? So on 2 something something 8, 10. So what are we thinking? What would be a pattern?
It's going up 2.
Yeah, it's going up 2. So maybe the next one will add 4. So if I add 4, this will make what, 8 here? And if I go up 6, that'll make 14. Yeah, that looks like it's the pattern. So it's going up by 2s every time. So we increase by 2, we increase by 4, increase by 6, by 8. So the common difference, the gap is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So what will the next gap be? Yeah, we'll go up by 12, so you're right. So it'll be a 44. That would be my next number. And then, yeah, so then we're going to have to add, what, 14 to that? Because it's going up by 2s every time, so this will be a 56. No, wait, 58?
Yeah.
58, sorry. 58. If I go up, because I had to add 14 to 44. Makes sense? We found the gap, but it takes a little bit of skill. You have to find the one number that's missing plus the next two. And the worst part is, you got to figure out the pattern. Because some patterns are going to be tricky. Maybe the gap idea won't help you. So maybe there's some little rule that you have to look at. Maybe they're both fine. So here's my little rule. If the numbers are getting big, like these numbers, these terms, if they're getting big really fast, it's probably multiplying. If they're getting small really fast, they're probably dividing. Like going from really big numbers to really small. That's just something to realize. If they're going up pretty consistently like this, they're not getting really big really quick. It's probably just adding like we did. We're just adding terms as we go. So they're not getting crazy big as we go. But that's the idea. So this type of sequence now, because again, they want the third term that's missing, you know, the one that's underlined, then they want the next two at the very end, right? So we figured those out. But what type of sequence is this? It is a typical. Right? It's a typical sequence. The reason why we know that, the gap between numbers is changing, so that means it's a typical sequence. It's just got some pattern to it. The only time it would be arithmetic if they stuck with the same number, the same gap every single time. So let me put an example of an arithmetic on the board here. Can somebody give me a starting number, please? 18. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I want to check your skills on positive and negative numbers. So what do you think? What type of pattern are we noticing here?
Decreasing.
Decreasing, that's good. So it's definitely going down. So there's like subtracting by a number, right? And by what?
5.
5. Yeah, they're going down by 5 every time. So it's down by 5. So be down by 5. So it just following the same pattern every time. So I'm going to have to go down by 5 again. So this would be a -2. Right? If I take 3 and I subtract 5 off it. And I'll keep going. If I subtract 5, that'll take me to -7. If I subtract 5 again, it'll take me to -12. So these are the next two numbers. This is the blank that was missing. Okay, do we see how this works? This, what you're looking at, that is an arithmetic sequence. It would have the same number or up by the same number every single time. They're either adding or subtracting. That's the idea. Okay, this is arithmetic. So what you're going to have to do today, there we go. All right. What you're going to have to do, first, identify what type it is. Is it arithmetic or typical? For typical, just put sequence. For arithmetic, put arithmetic. So that's the idea. You have to find the missing one that's underlined and find the next two. Think you can handle that? It's a little puzzle today. Let's see how well you do. Here's your worksheet today. You need a calculator. I have a little jar over here. I'll put it in front of the classroom here today. We'll contain your calculators if you need more. You can borrow that. Okay, so here's your worksheet. Now, it is due Wednesday this week. Due Wednesday, which is kind of a short turnaround. Usually I give you more time than that. But I think we've done enough notes on this. I don't need to give you a little more time for these. It's got front and back. It's 15 problems. Front and back. So don't forget that. So I think I have the back facing up. So remember, on the front, it's 1 through 15. So I try to give you a little more room on some of the ones that are a little bit more challenging. But there's a couple arithmetic in there. There's a couple just regular sequences, typical sequences. So you have to identify the type, find the missing number, and then find the next two. So, okay, the rest of the time is yours to work on this. I'm going to give you some time today, and then if we need to, we'll go into our intro on our next topic. Did everyone get one of the worksheets? You guys are going to do that, and then my answer.
We just find two or
So you find the missing blank, and then the next two after it. Okay? So always the missing one, and then the next two. No matter where the blank sits. So the next two are always at the end. Remember, you got to tell me if it's arithmetic or just a regular sequence. And then you got to find the missing blank and the next two after it. probably should give you one more. A little tough to see which one that was. If you get a certain problem done, you want to check it out, and it's be made. Okay, let's go on.
I think I found the pattern for number 15.
I should have gave you one more so you can see it. That desk is definitely not.
Alex, you're going
It's
down.
really something you can't control.
No, but usually, but in my family,
Well,
by
there's
the
a
time we
thing,
hit
there's
20,
a
by the time we hit 20, 30, we're already halfway bald.
Yeah, it happens.
There's a special seafood that you
I know. I know. I just might as well just keep the hair
can have.
short enough
Thousand.
to live with baldness. I don't care.
Alright, I'll let you continue. Should give you one more number on that number 15, I think. Otherwise, it's a little challenging to see that pattern. If you want the one number that's in that blank, the number 15, the one number that's in the blank, it's a 56. Cut off a little short. Number 15, the blank should be a 56, and then you can figure out the next two numbers. You can see the pattern. that's missing and the next two numbers, and then tell me if it's arithmetic or typical sequence. after lunch tomorrow to work on this worksheet. Remember, it's due Wednesday. Tomorrow we're moving on with notes. We're going to continue on a topic we've definitely introed before. So, apply to the bigger problem. Alright, if you borrowed a calculator from me, make sure to get it back.